Hey, welcome to Beer Revision. We are here to do the session number 19. The theme of this session is German beers. And so we've picked two beers here today that are kind of German and kind of not. And Dan's going to explain that a little bit more.
Okay, so we've got the Schneider Brooklyner and the Brooklyner Schneider Hopfenweisses, which is the two breweries had long admired each other's beers, Gerrit Oliver of Brooklyn and Hans-Peter Drexler of Schneider. And so they decided to do a collaboration. Oliver went over to Germany first, and so they brewed the recipe, and they used the local Hallertau Saphir hops, and they dry hopped it with that. And then a few months later, Drexler went over to the U.S., and so they did the same recipe using the exact same yeast that he brought over, and they dry hopped that with Amarillo and Palisade. And so they theoretically should be exactly the same except for what they've been dry hopped with. And so there's a slight difference in alcohol content right off the bat that we noticed, but besides that, we're looking to see exactly how much of a difference the dry hopping makes.
I think what makes this such an interesting idea is that they also took a fairly traditional style, the Hefeweiss, and dry hopped it, which you would not normally do. And I think that's going to be kind of interesting just because it's going to have more hop aroma in the profile than a Weiss normally does at all. But of course, using the two different kind of hops should give an interesting contrast. So let's break them open and see what we got here. What do you think?
Right.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so first thing you notice in the aroma is, yeah, it's got the components of Weiss. I mean, I'm definitely getting a fair amount of banana in there, but the overlay of the hops is ridiculous. It's expressing itself quite a bit, and I like that. It's different for a Weiss, but fantastic. So it continues to have a Weiss quality even in the sip. You wouldn't mistake it for another style, except it's really got that twist. And that twist is very much in the aroma. They're dry hopped. So it's not like it's especially bitter, but aromatically, you know, I can definitely pick out the Amarillos. I'm not as familiar with Palisades, but I really like that. I think that's a fantastic beer. I would have to recommend it without describing it in insane detail.
Well, I mean, right away you can see this is actually a little bit more of a lighter color, I think, than the Brooklyner version.
Yeah.
But again, you definitely get hops in there, but there is still the traditional banana aroma. And it's there's a lot more, not a lot more bitterness, but there's definitely more than you expect from a traditional. I think it's a good fusion. You do, one side doesn't overlap the other. You get the hops, but you also get the traditional Weiss flavor profile.
Right. Well, let's switch. I mean, it sounds dumb to say similar but different.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's exactly right here, you know. Again, the profile is still very definitely a Weiss. You wouldn't mistake it for some other style. But again, that overlay of hops, and this time it is much more subtle. I mean, these are noble hops. And you get that noble, it's not citrusy, it's a lot more refined. But
you can tell this is the American version because it is a lot more kind of punch you in the face with we're using more hops now.
Yeah. I think you're good to go either way. Which one do you like better, though?
I think I might like the Brooklyner Schneider better, but again, either way, it's not like you would hand me one and I would say, no thanks, I'm holding out for the other.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree, actually. I mean, no disrespect to Schneider Weiss. They're a very good brewery, and I love their Hefeweizens. But somehow or another, bringing in the American hops makes it, more effective. It's more of a punch. Like, if you're going to dry hop a Weiss, why not go ahead and ramp it up and use some Amarillos and some Palisades and just go boom with that, you know? Whereas I think that one, it's a little bit more subtle.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, cheers. I think this has been a fun experiment nonetheless. I would recommend either of these beers for sure. Okay, until next session, Beer Revision signing out.